right. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. As always, I'm your host, Adam Smith, with Just the Tips Coaching. And we've got a pretty cool guest for you guys today. Somebody I've admired from afar, and now it's way, way afar. But for some odd reason or another, after all these years, we haven't had him as a guest on the show yet, which kind of strikes me as odd. But welcome to the show, the Wolf, Michael Wolff. Oh, you calling the Wolf? Every time I now think of Pulp Fiction, I think of the Wolf.
Could be worse things, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know that you're exactly Winston Wolf, but we'll take it. So, Michael, I don't know. We've known each other for a good number of years. I've kind of watched some transitionary stuff. I think when you and I first met, you were living and working in California, and then basically uprooted the entire thing, and now you live and work in Raleigh, North Carolina.
That is correct.
Not a whole lot of change that would be maxing out from location, from culture, from environment, from workload, all kinds of things. That was a very different move for you, and you said it had been about 5 years now?
5 years. Yeah, pretty much exactly 5 years. Yeah.
Okay. So that was a pandemic move.
We moved during the pandemic, so shit hit the fan, and pretty quickly we just had to get the hell out of Los Angeles. I don't know. You just kind of reassess everything. Like, hey, we're stuck in our house and we're paying like $1 million a year in taxes. We're paying $1 million for a small house. So we just figured it was a good time to reassess where we are and just decided to make a big change, and that's why we moved cross country.
All right. And obviously this isn't really relevant to anything that I want to pick your brain about or that I want our audience to get from you, but why Raleigh?
I'm from the East Coast. I'm from New York. So kind of wanted to be back sort of home, but didn't want to be in the Northeast because it's expensive and it's cold, and South is, I'm not really a Southerner. So Raleigh was kind of, I don't know, it's South, but not Southern, and it's North or close enough to New York and the East Coast. So it's, I don't know, location mostly, weather.
It's a nice compromise.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. And it is a cool town, and there's some great culture there. And every state in the South, if we're going to lump it into that group, has a jewel of a city, and Raleigh-Durham's pretty badass. No denying it. So just because I'm curious, my audience might be curious, or the audience might be curious, what was that like from a business perspective? Had you been licensed in other places before you moved?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So I knew I was coming here cold. I didn't know anybody, no family, nothing. So it was during the pandemic, so we were all still busy during COVID.
Sure.
So I was unfortunately or fortunately working for, I don't know, several months in North Carolina before I even got my local license. I just didn't have time to even do it.
You were working on California business, though.
All California business when I first moved here. So the time zone was...
I was going to say, was the time change all fucked up?
I mean, at first it was okay because like I can sleep in and California is still sleeping. So I had plenty of time to get things done.
Yep.
But then end of the day, it's like, California is now active, now here it's 5, 6 o'clock, and over there people are still, at work, or my clients can't talk after work. So 6 p.m. West Coast, that's like what, 10, 11 p.m. So when you add all that in,
but okay.
yeah, when you add all that in, it just sucks,
Actually, there are times I really appreciate it. We've probably talked about the fact in the past that I've got a house in South Carolina, Surfside, and when I'm there working, I try to stay on mountain time. And obviously there's a pretty big gap between the 2-hour time change and a 3-hour time change. Yeah. But yeah, I can sleep in. My normal MO is to be at my desk at 7 a.m. That's 9 o'clock Eastern time. So for me, that feels late.
Yeah.
And then rather than have to commute, I can go jump in the pool or go out to the beach or whatever and have a late dinner, but stay up late, sleep in again the next morning. So I really don't mind the time change when I'm on the East Coast. from a permanent perspective, that's a pretty big change.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on where you are in your life, I guess, ages of your kids.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's hard when, I mean, my kids are a little bit older now, but they're still young. But, 5 years ago, I mean, my kids now are what, 12 and 15. So they're 7 and 10. They need a lot of hands-on everything when they're that young. So, it's hard when after work, I have to take phone calls and work on files just because that's when I was available,
Yeah.
But so that was a little,
that
more,
was the Pacific time zone running your
yeah,
life.
I mean, it wasn't really it was just a pain in the ass more than anything, just an inconvenience, but then I got my license here and then started networking and just meeting people here and just establishing myself locally.
What do you think 5 years later, what do you think the split of your business is between California and Carolina?
Right now, it's mostly North Carolina.
Okay.
I don't market or anything in California, but I do get, all my past clients and whatever reaching out for loans here and there. So I do have decent amount of business in California. I just don't market it to it. And it's nice when I get California loans because they're a lot bigger than North Carolina,
Sure.
So, I mean, just this past 2 months alone, I don't know, a couple million of North Carolina purchases and refinances. And, that would have been like, I don't know, 10, I don't know, like 3 times the number of North Carolina loans, maybe.
Sure. Although it is hard to attend a lot of networking events 3,000 miles away.
That too. Yeah. It's, plus, California's special. People there are special.
It is special. We'll leave it at that. My folks actually live there now after decades of either doing East Coast, my mother, and Colorado, my father. How they decided on they're in Palm Desert, but how they decided that was going to be the end destination. I really couldn't say it. It's funny because I was thinking about it this morning as well, but.
Well, if you hate humidity, you're okay with the heat. That's not a bad place to live out your days.
But couldn't we say that about Scottsdale?
I guess. I mean, I've never been to Scottsdale, but I can. Some friends from Arizona, and I don't know. I wouldn't live in Scottsdale, but I heard it's nice.
It's nice, and the desert floor is the desert floor, but I'll stick with my high desert because I don't like the heat or the humidity. Definitely am not a big fan of where you're living now come summertime.
Yeah.
Although, boy, when it gets cold in the winter, it's cold. That humidity is.
Oh, here in Raleigh?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, the weather is weird here. I mean, you'll wake up in the morning and it's freezing. You wear a jacket, hat, everything. And then by lunchtime, you're wearing shorts.
Yeah, same kind of thing here. I think it was about 32 degrees when I woke up today, and it's supposed to be like 74.
Mm-hmm.
But because it's dry, both are really, really tolerable. Well, 74 is pretty tolerable anywhere. But all right, let's get on with the show. How did you, Greg? We could talk about locations and weather and climate, and maybe someday we'll both, be on the predicting the weather on a news channel somewhere, but unlikely. So let's talk about Michael. How did you get started in the mortgage business? How long ago? What did that look like? Was it retail? Was it wholesale? Where did the first deals come from? Get in the Wayback Machine and give us some background.
Well, since I was a little child, I always wanted to do paperwork and help people finance their home purchases. So
you're full of shit. No, nobody grows up saying, "God, I can't wait to originate mortgages."
No,
firefighter, astronaut, cowboy, loan originator. Yeah,
well, I didn't know what a mortgage was until after I started working in the business. So there you go.
It's a death contract.
You don't know what it is, but I don't know. I mean, I guess everyone gets into this different ways. For me, I was just out of the .com bubble a bit. So wasn't doing tech anymore. That didn't work out for many people. I was just doing things in Los Angeles. I was managing a restaurant and just, I was young, just doing all kinds of things. I was in a band, traveling, touring. And then at some point you just got to settle down a little bit. So I ended up getting an actual job. And it was in the auto industry. And some of our clients worked for a mortgage company. And I didn't look at their paperwork, but their income documents. But it said hey, we're making $10,000 a month, $15,000 a month. And back then I'm like, wow, these guys are idiots. What are they doing to to make this. I had no idea what it was. And so I was like, hey, what do you guys do for work? And then just through those connections, I got a job interview, failed it big time because I didn't know anything about mortgages. And then I got my second interview with the same company, different branch. So it was actually a retail company that's no longer around. And this is 2021? 21? No, sorry, 2001? 2002?
2021. No, you were already in North Carolina then.
2004? I don't know. It was back then. I say so.
But it was before the Great Recession.
It was before, yeah. So this is during a refinance boom. I didn't know it was a refinance boom, and whatever at the time. But back then, I got this retail job, and it just wasn't a fit for me. You know how retail is. It's like an office job. You have hours. You got to do this. You got to clock it. Whatever, all this bullshit. So I pretty much. One of my coworkers left and went to a broker, and he's like, hey, you got to work for the broker channel. So literally 6 months into the business, I went from a retail to a broker. 6 months later, I got my own broker license and just opened up my own shop because I realized that most people don't know what they're doing in this business. You don't really need a whole lot of people to get you.
I wish that were less true. Yeah. And certainly back then.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
It is a significant difference now, but yeah, back in the early part of the century, what a mess.
It's different now, but it's the same shit, different laws, but same bullshit, same people doing the same crap, just finding ways to get around this, around that, same ignorance. I don't know.
You think that's still true today?
I mean, if you see some of the Facebook groups, absolutely.
Okay. I try not to pay too much attention, and I agree. There's a lot of
I don't, but I'll scroll through, just seeing and I'm like, I could comment or say it, but most of the time I'll just refrain, because it's not going to do anything. But you'll see just some of the dumb questions and just, I don't even know, just really shady things that people are asking questions. It's like, what they're asking, I don't know. I think it's, as long as there's money involved, I don't think it's never going to be super clean. It's always going to be shitty underbelly.
I think that's true of every licensed profession. And I used to joke even before being in the mortgage space, because I come from a history of these characters, but I used to say that it was always 99% of the attorneys giving the rest a bad name.
That's it.
And I think it's true of every licensed profession. If you've got state and federal regulators that are part of your business, then you're going to have people in your business that are looking for ways to get around them.
Right. And that's why we have all these new laws, but people still get around them. Everything from compensation to, I don't even know, like appraisal independence, people get around everything. But even now, a lot of the laws we have, especially for VA loans and everything, it's because a small percentage of the people just didn't give a shit about laws, rules, morals, ethics, whatever. And now we have all these limitations in the business. And even the comp, that was supposed to fix everything, but it didn't change anything.
No, it didn't change anything.
It's like
we can say that about a lot of changes that have gone on over the course of our careers. And I think the bottom line is that, like most things government, the motivation is pure and the execution is shit. And like going from HUD-1 to CD. The original motivation there was so that it would be more clear, more concise, easier to follow for the consumer. Major fail.
Yeah.
Right. Same thing with the home valuation code of conduct. And I'm not going to get on my soapbox about what a scam I think the appraisal process is, because that's a full episode. Probably a dozen episodes all on by itself. But all that really ended up doing was bringing in a pool of lesser appraisers, driving away the upper echelon, the upper crust of the guys that had been doing it a long time and were really good at it. And initially, it cost the American homeowner billions in equity, coast to coast. It was absolutely, and don't get me wrong, again, the motivation was pure. Yes, almost all residential real estate appraisers had claimed that they were being unduly influenced at one time by one particular group or another, lenders, homeowners, real estate agents, whatever. Something needed to be done. We just went about it in a very poor manner. So, yeah, I think you're right. We're always going to have that in any licensed profession. So here's an interesting little piece of this, because your career path is a little unique compared to a lot of them. I did work for a brokerage for a handful of years, and then went and started my own. And it had been years, literally, that I was in the mortgage space. You basically went from new to the space, retail, bumped over to wholesale, bumped over to broker owner in the blink of an eye, and never looked back.
Yeah.
It's funny because I get a lot of people asking me even today, hey, what's better, wholesale, retail? I'm like, I don't fucking know. I've always been on the wholesale side. I've spent 20 plus years as a broker owner. I can't answer that question for you.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing with how short-lived that was and how long ago it was, the industry changes, you couldn't answer it either. You know what it's like to be a broker owner today, and that's about the end of the line.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know retail. I mean, you hear things and, I'm sure there's some good outfits and good places to work. For someone new, I think it just depends on who's got the best training. That's all. It doesn't matter really, just get the best training and you figure out later who's the best spot, best rates, if that's what you need.
Maybe. Yeah. I'm not sure that that's as important as it used to be. I think it's more about company culture and where you're going to get the best support for wherever your business happens to be. And that might be retail, that might be wholesale, that might be some kind of hybrid. Mm-hmm. There's certainly a lot of those out there. All right. So let's fast forward and let's talk about where you're at now.
So
you're broker owner.
No, I'm not anymore.
Oh, okay.
So where is this? November, about 2 years ago, decided to join up with a bigger brokerage. So I just didn't want to do the brokerage admin stuff.
Say it,
call reports, lender things, all that, because if you're a small company, one-man shop, I processor and LOA, it's not work you want to do, so I crunched some numbers and realized some brokerages with the way their comp plans are set up, I could pretty much do exactly what I'm doing, income wise, maybe even more, and have less responsibilities. So
less headache,
less responsibilities, more free time, so I joined a bigger brokerage and pretty much exactly what I got. I'm with Go Rascal right now. It's a fairly large size brokerage based out of New York. I've known CEO since I've been in the business over 20 years, so it's and I'm still pretty independent. Like I don't really do a lot of corporate stuff. I do my own processing, just kind of keep to myself and just kind of rely on them to handle all the admin, payroll, license, things that I don't want to do, that I don't like doing.
I don't blame you. And I think that's probably true for everybody that's a loan originator that really just wants to originate loans.
Right.
And I think no matter who you are, you can get into that path. If it means an LOA, if it means an office manager, if it means a processor, there are ways for all of you, I assure you, to put yourself in a position where if your job is to be a loan originator and you really like the aspect of originating loans, originating the business, and not dealing with all the things that are a byproduct of that, whether it's broker packages or call reports or pulling credit reports or collecting loan documents, whatever it is, if there are things on your plate that you don't like doing, you can find a way to make sure that you're not doing them. You can get to a point where you're only doing things that you like to do, or at least like to do, or generate a lot of revenue, high dollar activity, right? Michael's path is one of many that you could go down in order to ensure that as a loan originator, you're spending your time originating loans and not doing the rest of the bullshit that comes along with that. And I think that's true for real estate agents. It's probably true for financial planners and insurance agents, those kinds of things. If you want to be the face, boy, that really says something considering how ugly you and I are. That's just really too bad that we happen to be the faces. But you can do that, guys. All of you can do that. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of you like the LOA processing aspect of the gig. You like structuring loans and chasing pay stubs and studying the MBS. And that one I actually do really like, kind of following the economic data and seeing what's going on there, so that we are working in a manner that's really, really focused on what's best for our clients' dollars. And of course, as volatile as that's been since the pandemic, that's almost a full-time job all on its own. But yeah, that's a really cool path to go down. And I'll bet there was a revelation when you realized you didn't want to do the logistic crap. Just take care of your clients and not worry about the rest of that junk. And I'd be willing to bet that you're a much happier person for it.
Sure, I guess.
Yeah. Well, doing the part of the business that you like, more free time, more flexibility, no work schedule, no dress code. Certainly a lot different than your first gig as a retail loan originator 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
I think one of the best parts is, I mean, I don't, there are brokers that will say, hey, we have 500 lenders, 1,000, whatever, so many lenders. I mean, I think it's stupid to brag, but we have a lot of lenders, and one of the benefits of being working for a bigger shop is I don't have to deal with broker, like lender approvals and just that whole thing. So if I need a niche product, like I don't have to start searching for lenders, getting approved, going through the process. Like we already have that,
Yeah.
So if there's something that's I need, most likely one of my lenders already has the product, or a few different versions of it.
And if not, your company probably has a department to deal with it.
We'll figure it out. Yeah, if we need to, we can get approval if we need to. But I mean, how many niche loans are there really out there that you may not already have with 100 something lenders?
Yeah, that's going to be rare. I would agree. So, give us a little bit of insight as to what you're doing now for. I don't want to necessarily describe it as vanilla as lead gen, but tell us about lead gen post relocation. What did you start doing in North Carolina that was different, that was new, versus what you had been doing all this time in California, those kinds of things?
Well, what I'm doing now is different from what I did 5 years ago.
Okay.
So 5 years ago, I was new here, so I didn't know anybody. So really what I did was I just, social media, I just found a couple of industry people, like, there's like an attorney or paralegal, realtors, whatever. And I just kind of stalked them for a bit, just followed them, interacted with them when they posted things, whatever. And then eventually got to know them and started getting business from them. Right now, I'm honestly not doing.
North Carolina is the title attorney state?
We are, it's an attorney state. Okay. So, yeah. So, so it's attorneys here, California's different, escrows. But now I don't do a whole lot of that kind of outreach. It's more just, just calling the people that I know, just touching base, past clients, doing a lot of social media stuff. And behind the scenes, just working on a bunch of things, just marketing stuff to put out all at once when it's all ready.
Okay. Well, we'll let you keep that secret for now.
It's not a secret. It's just different social media stuff, blog posts, videos. Just want to get all the content together. So it's not. Yeah, I think you just put out one thing, or a couple of things. People see it and then they forget about it. But if you need a lot of content out there, evergreen stuff. So that's kind of what I'm building up right now.
Yeah. Constant, consistent. Absolutely. Yeah. You want to talk about 50-year mortgages?
Not really.
But proof evidence that I see your social media shit.
Yeah. No, they're good. They're dumb. I mean, I think if they do help people, it may be like a handful here and there, because it's stupid. The monthly savings is really not that significant, and the people that need the help the most are the lower price points, and that's even less of a payment difference. 30 to 50. It's just, I don't know. It's just government crap just to kind of make it look like they're doing something.
Well, you were around early enough to remember 40.
Well, yeah, I mean,
40-year loans for a minute.
Those came out during the financial crash, right after.
Shortly after, yeah.
Shortly afterwards, but yeah, those are dumb too. Those are, it's almost like an interest-only payment, pretty much.
Well, and I think a lot of it was actually done in the loan modification space. I think a lot of loan servicers were letting people in default enter into 40-year notes to,
Right.
well, really obviously to try and mitigate the payment. But let's not forget that when that was going on, so let's call it 08, 09, even 10, that what was really going on is there were so many people in default on their mortgages that the servicers had absolutely horrible books, just tons of non-performing assets. And if I could modify your note and put you into a 40-year, and you would start making payments again, and maybe you only made 3, or maybe you only made 6. Either way, I was able to shift you out of that non-performing asset pool into a performing asset pool, and my books looked much better. My investors were a little happier. My shareholders were a little happier, those kinds of things. But that was really the motivation, was just to get, even temporarily, get non-performing assets back into a performing arena.
Even temporary.
Temporary. Absolute. A lot of it was temporary, no question.
Yeah.
I don't really remember mortgage modifications. I remember doing quite a few of them, but I don't really remember them as a whole making a big impact on what went on in the housing market, what went on in mortgage-backed securities performing better. I don't think any of that actually occurred because it would have had to have been en masse.
Yeah.
And I think the servicers really only cared that the assets appeared to be performing again. In fact, I remember a lot of these servicers wouldn't even talk to you unless you were in default.
They would tell you have to be 2 months, 3 months behind. Like, okay, now I'm in foreclosure. Like,
right.
But that whole process, I mean, I was helping people with modifications too, and some of them were just super gnarly. They would drag you out for months or years. Trial payments, and then they get canceled. Like, oh, okay, it's over. Now you got to just apply again. So they kept people dragging on. I mean, it was just, I don't know, it's a nightmare. For most people, it'd be better off just to sell it, foreclose, and then, wait a couple of years and buy another house. If most people, if they would have sold at the beginning of the pandemic, even just did a deed in lieu, a couple of years later, they would have been able to buy a house before the market took off again. They would have been at a good spot,
Absolutely. And they would have walked away from that situation with some money.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah. Back during if you held on during the Great Recession to a point where you could no longer pay that house, odds were good, especially in California at the time, that the real estate values had tumbled quite a bit. In fact, it was so significant that there were people doing it just as a strategic default. Yeah. I bought this house for $500. I owe $400. Now it's only worth $350. I'm just going to walk away.
I'll walk away and buy a next house under my wife's credit, or do another straw buyer situation, which absolutely happened, I'm sure.
Well, again, licensed industry. There were always people trying to find a way around shit, no question.
Every time my brother buy and just say that he lives there, and no, you can't just say what's going to happen unless it's, I'm sure you've heard that a lot.
Occupancy fraud, much?
Can we just say I'm living there? Can we just say I have a job? Can we just say, I don't know. I know consumers don't know how bad that shit is, but it just pisses me off when people say that. It's like, oh yeah, you're so clever. You're thinking of a way around these fucking rules that have been around for decades because you're so smart and clever. Oh yeah, let's just say you're going to live there. That's all you got to do. I just can't stand that.
While I think the percentage of that has gone way down versus, say, what went on in 2005, right, leading up to it.
Yeah,
I'm not going to lie. Wall Street greed has a short memory. We're certainly going to see that kind of thing cycle through every 5 years, 10 years, whatever those cycles happen to be. I do think it's important to understand, to all of you, that there is no one transaction that can make your career, but it only takes one to break it. So yeah, let's focus a little bit on not committing occupancy fraud. In fact, there was a big case, a lawmaker somewhere in the Northeast, maybe Connecticut. I can remember she just had a bunch of legal issues surface over occupancy fraud. Still punishable by 30 years in the clink or $1 million, maybe both. I'm sure as I get through my boring, redundant, same shit year over year continuing education here, that we'll cover that again.
Nice reminder.
Yeah, nice reminder. Hey, for all of you that are in the mortgage space, go get your biosig headache on. Because but at least we get to study the same content every single year.
I like how it's sometimes the exact same video too. So in case you missed something, you can get it next year.
That's right. Absolutely. All right. Well, this has actually been really cool, and I knew we were going to run over, but it's really rare that we kind of get into some depth and detail when we're talking about mortgage law, mortgage licensing, mortgage regulation, these kinds of things. There aren't that many people that were around before NMLS.
Yeah.
That were around before a lot of states even had any kind of licensing program whatsoever. Those kinds of things. So it's really cool to have that perspective. If you don't mind, I'll put you down for another episode in the not too distant future, and we'll kick around some other ideas of how people, consumers, and LOs can fuck it up.
Well, the episode on how to get arrested.
An episode on that's right. If you're short on jewelry and need some silver bracelets, Michael can help you out.
Tell you exactly what to do.
He can tell you exactly what to do. Although it should be more of a scared straight program. Let's try to stay away from that shit, people. Although I've got to assume the percentage of that kind of shit has gone way down just because the percentage of or the number of loan originators is way down, right? There's almost 1 million active licenses near the peak of the pandemic, less than 100,000 renewed in 25. So,
what?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, I'd be curious to see what happens this year for renewal. I'm already renewed. Well, I mean, just waiting for some states, but a couple states already approved for next year. But really curious to see what the landscape will look like.
I'll bet it's consistent. I'll bet whatever the active number of federal licenses on the street is for 25 is pretty synonymous with 26. A few will go, a few will come. But yeah, I think we're getting close to where that'll be a balance. And if rates tank again, then we'll see those numbers pop again. We'll see a ton of people doing stupid shit like trying to commit occupancy fraud.
Yeah.
And we'll go through the cycle again.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's as big now, but I mean, with the non-QM DSCR loans, like people definitely try and skirt, to get a property without income ducts, right?
Of course. Yeah, that's kind of the modern day subprime shit. And not to say that there won't be a return of true subprime paper at some point in the future either. Remember, Wall Street greed has a very short memory.
Yep. I mean, non-QM kind of is that, I guess.
It's close, sure.
But I don't know. You don't get like, 1 day out of bankruptcy non-QM. Like I haven't seen that stuff. But again, I don't have any clients like that,
115% CLTV, no?
Oh, I mean, we're never going to see that again, I mean, when I first got into the business, they were still doing, I think the lender was Security Union, but they're doing 125% seconds. So like 100% first and 25% second or something like that. Like just insane. Just relying on.
Which is way more than you would ever spend getting a house.
Yeah. Then they're relying on future appreciation, to make it just go away. Like, yeah, I mean, it was California. Things were going up quick. Like you go 125%, that, the value could go up like that in 2 months,
Probably did around the time of the pandemic too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Timing it just right.
Ebbs and flows. Well, thanks for doing this. I know carving out this kind of time on a Monday isn't an easy thing to do, and we've had this on the books forever, probably about a year. And that'll probably be similar for a sequel. And before we go, what's with the $5 a minute hashtag?
Oh, I don't know. I saw there was a section to put a note on there, and I just couldn't think of anything.
Oh, all right. So for those of you wondering, Michael is only $5 a minute, kind of like those old long distance rates on your cell phone. He's cheaper after 9 p.m., I'm sure.
I don't answer the phone after 5 p.m.
All right. Well, for the rest of you watching or listening live or in syndication, you can catch us live on Mondays at 9:30 Pacific, 12:30 Eastern on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and the podcast on Wednesdays on Amazon, Apple, and Spotify. And if you want to see past episodes or hear them, or the weekly video blog, the weekly little tip, or find out information about our annual in-person event. That's actually the first time Michael and I met. He was here for a Mile High Mastermind in Denver. And I don't know, all the other shit, copies of the books I've written, whatever. Go check out justthetipscoaching.com. You can find all that stuff. And otherwise, we'll be back next week with another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. Michael, don't run off. I'm going to run our extra. And for the rest of you tuning in, thanks for listening or watching live or in syndication. And we'll see you next week.